Okay, it's Tuesday's Talking Reds. Before we get into it all, I just want to say first of all, it is a year today since the bombing at the Manchester Arena. There's a silence today at 2:30. Not sure when this video will be out, but if you do get the chance to pay your respects, I would urge you to do so, because some things are more important than football rivalries, city rivalries, and all the rest of it. And I wrote about this time last year. I think a lot of us empathise obviously with what happened there. It's a very sad thing. I've got young kids myself. I've got kids who are into Alexander-Arnold and all that. Is that right? Was that right?
You said
really
that one
bad
right,
at
yeah.
pronouncing things, aren't I? But yeah, awful thing, and rightfully respects being paid today. So I just wanted to start off with that. Okay, on the Liverpool score then. There's a big interview with Andy Robertson in the Times today with Paul Joyce, the Merseyside reporter. And it's really good. One of the things I've enjoyed about this season and about the run-up to the final, really, is that there's lots and lots of stories around Liverpool that are really human. Do you know what I mean? And what I mean by that is that I think a lot of conversations about footballers you almost end up treating them as a bit of a piece of meat, if you know what I mean. Oh yeah, it's just someone who's dead good at football, and any worries about mental health or the family situation or the fact that they have to move miles away from the rest of the family, anything like that. Oh, it doesn't matter. They get paid loads. They're professionals. They should just get on with it. Those type of conversations. I like the opposite. I like where footballers show that they are human, and football show that they have to deal with things, and just because they got loads of money, well, it doesn't really work like that, does it? Money isn't the answer to everything. And so this interview with Robertson's really honest. A bit like the Henderson one. Did you read that in the
Ollie Holt?
Really good with Ollie Holt, yeah. He opened up there and he was saying he was in tears over the idea of having to leave and go to Fulham and things like that. Again, a sort of the macho culture around football. You wouldn't normally expect him to open up to that extent. Anyway, so Robertson, what's he talking about here? He's saying about it's interesting about, he says, people are talking about the season now as a fairy tale and that sort of thing, and how he's conquered adversity, got into the side. There was that tweet that was doing the rounds when he was skint 6 years ago at Queen's Park and all that kind of thing. But what he says here is that actually he was training on his own for a long time at Melwood. He had his family coming down to Liverpool to watch him play. And then he wasn't playing, and he was just sitting in a box at Anfield with them. He said he felt a little bit embarrassed by that it wasn't a nice feeling. And then he said he was losing his rag as well with his family, and he's open about this as well. He's basically saying it's the right advice, but the most annoying advice you can get, because he said all his family and friends just kept saying, be patient, lad, be patient. And he said in the end they had to say to them, can you stop saying that, because it's really annoying me. He said he spoke to his girlfriend and his mum and dad and just said to them, you need to stop asking me questions because it's making everything 10 times worse. And it just sort of goes through a bit of his personal battle, and how that wasn't easy to come to Liverpool and just not get a sniff initially. Obviously now you've got people bigging him up and talking about him being one of the best fullbacks in the league, but it wasn't all plain sailing. And he also mentions social media, which again I think buys into this, in that people are just fast and loose on social media, aren't they? They'll call you names, they'll call you all kinds, they'll call you a paedophile, call you a nonce, call you whatever you want, and they just think, it's sound. It's fine to call anyone anything. It's just a throwaway thing. It's not just a throwaway thing, though, is it? Because people are human beings, like I'm trying to emphasise. So, all this stuff you throw at people, they might just think it's nothing and they should just deal with it, and they're in the public eye and it's part of that process. But he says here, I don't go on it that much, but people were saying, well, maybe he's not the manager's signing and that's why he's not playing. And he said, that's hard, and the times when you're coming home and having a bit of time to yourself and you're thinking, have I made the wrong decision? So, it is good. I think that the players are opening up like this. I mean, a lot of people cynical about player interviews and how they should just shut up and all this, but I like this. I like this type of stuff. Trent as well has been doing a lot of stuff similar, and it's nice to know that they're just normal lads who happen to be good at footy.
Because they are.
Yeah.
They're just like one of us.
Yeah.
And I think that's the human side that you talk about. Is that I think that's why we look at someone like Andy Robertson, like Trent Alexander-Arnold, we see ourselves in them, we see them sort of living out our dreams for us. And yeah, you're exactly right. I love those. I love the interviews. I love the old tweets, the old Andy Robertson tweets that do come up, because that just goes to show that it just was only a short time that he was exactly like any of us, with money worries or just the normal worries of a normal person. And now he's about to play in the Champions League final for Liverpool, and I think that's probably why we've developed an even bigger bond with them, rather than they don't feel distant. This group of players don't feel distant to us. It feels like there is this as good a bond as I can remember as a Liverpool fan between the fan base and the players on the pitch. And that's down to players like Andy Robertson. It's down to players like Trent Alexander-Arnold, who we've talked at length about before, about him being a Liverpool fan, growing up in the city and so on. So that'll make it even more special if we do it in Kiev, is that it is this team that we have all fallen in love with throughout this run. And when you hear things like that about Andy Robertson, it's funny, because at the start of the season, that's what we were thinking. We were thinking, well, he just has to be patient. He's signed from Hull. This is a big move for him. It's a big club. But in his head, he'll have believed in his own ability more so than we would have, and he'll have known what he could do. And he's probably seen Alberto Moreno playing well, but thinking, well, I'm better than him. And he took his chance, and that's another experience for him. I think is that he's come through a difficult patch, that difficult 3 or 4 months of joining a new club, and there being questions surrounding him and questions asked of him. And now look at him. He's about to play in the Champions League final for Liverpool.
And he's only 24 years old. He's a young dad as well. Comes out in the interview there about the sort of difficulties around that 2 days before a match he has to move to another bedroom in the house, away from the baby monitors, to just basically get his head down and be ready and be prepared for the game. So that's another reality of life there. I also like the idea as well that he says when he first taking part in training sessions at Liverpool, he said he was seeing opposition players he'd faced with Hull, rather than considering them as teammates, if you like. So it sounds like maybe he's a little bit overawed and a little bit like, hang on. And, again, a very human thing. You go to a new job, whatever it is, and you will have a bit of self-doubt. You will have that thing where you're like, do I fit in here? Have I made the right decision? Am I going to work here? And, Robertson's clearly gone through that journey, emerged the other side, and now a player that we all love. I like this as well, that in the end, I mean, read Joyce's article. I'm basically giving it all away here. Sorry, Joyce, but Joyce's stuff in the Times, it is really good, and it's almost worth buying the paper for his stuff, basically. But the other one that I liked here is the idea that after they beat City in the league, said it was about 11:30 p.m. Says he glances at his phone and he's got a missed FaceTime video from Kenny Dalglish. How brilliant is that? I absolutely love that.
Do you think it's one of those mistake ones?
But he says that. He says, I think he's probably pressed the wrong button. And he said that, and then there was a message on there from Kenny, just saying, brilliant performance, brilliant results. And then he says, Kenny's been a massive help. He's always said that if he ever need anything, him and his wife will help. And he said that's really nice because we're down here on our own with a young baby. And he says, that call was one to tell everyone about back home, because of course he's Scottish. Kenny's an absolute hero.
Celtic season ticket holder up until he was 18. I think I heard that in the Graham Hunter podcast, which is again another really good interview with him. And I think that City game, that feels like the game where he properly arrived, and he probably thought at that stage, no, I belong here. And we'd seen really encouraging and some really good performances from him in the build up to that, but that was against the best side in the league who hadn't been beaten. He gets his first song sang first at that game, and I think looking around the league, I'm struggling to think of a left back that I would swap for Andy Robertson at this stage. That's just how big an impression he's made on us, not just as a footballer but as a person and as someone who fits perfectly into this squad.
Absolutely. Other news in the Times there and elsewhere is that Real Madrid have likely to return some final tickets. Apparently it's opening up to some different socios, as they're called, different groups of fans, but they're still expectant that there'll be a bulk of tickets that go back, just because it's so difficult and so expensive to get to the final, to stay over, to find flights and all the rest of it. Real Madrid fans are going through some of the same problems that Liverpool fans are, obviously, but also as well, I mean, there's lots of Liverpool fans who are desperate to get over. but it seems like UEFA are saying it's unlikely that these tickets will then go into Liverpool's hands because they just can't sort the logistics of, segregation at the match and that type of stuff. So it seems that there's a high likelihood that there will actually be empty seats at the final, which is a bit of a joke. That happened at the Europa League final the other week as well. And so, there's big question marks now around UEFA and the choice of venues for finals. This isn't just Liverpool fans having a gripe. And in fact, UEFA's president has actually given a quote in an Italian newspaper where he says, in the past, an executive simply said, I want to give you a final. Great. He says, now you have to present a dossier and the most complete one wins. He says, Kiev is beautiful, but you cannot even get a room under the stairs for hundreds of euros. In the future, hotel infrastructure should be central to the decision so that places where fans have to sleep in a garage are not chosen. I mean, it's great that you're saying that now, mate, but why was this not a consideration at UEFA before? Why were, the top brass not saying, not only, we don't just pick a football stadium, we don't just pick a country, we pick a city that can cope with a huge influx of fans, we pick a city that is capable, that's got airports capable of coping with the traffic of two huge clubs piling into a city to watch a huge football match.
Are you surprised though? Are you surprised from them?
Do you know what? Yesterday I did something with the BBC down in London. I was with Nicky Holt, and I'm sure Nicky won't mind me saying he's an older football fan than I am. And he's seen us talking about this, and he's seen me writing about it. And he said, none of this is new, mate. And I said, well, I know I remember it from Athens. And he said, no, go back as far as you want. He said, he said he could remember his dad kicking off about allocations in Rome in '84 and things like that. And he said it was always the case that the top brass gets sorted at UEFA, that the fans are the ones who end up paying, and then it feels like it's UEFA's party, and we're having to gatecrash it to be part of it.
So we're having to fund it. That's what it feels like. Yeah. And what I wonder is, on the allocation, I wonder at what stage it stops. So if we were getting 16,000 tickets in the Liverpool end and Real Madrid the same in a 70,000 seater stadium, where does that stop? Like, how far does that number dwindle for fans? Do you know what I mean? So, like in future finals, is it going to be 10,000 Liverpool fans, 10,000 Real Madrid fans, the rest UEFA, the rest neutral or whatever? That's my worry.
And as well, there's a lot of ire being sort of turned towards Liverpool, for instance, and how they've handled the selling process and all the rest of it. But it's a knock-on effect, though, isn't it? Because if UEFA could have sorted it so we're getting 20,000 or 30,000, it actually makes things easier for the club because they don't have to run ballots and all the rest of it. They could have maybe rewarded all season ticket holders or whatever. But as it is, the club's left with the nightmare of, all right then, well, how do we sort this out? So, yeah, big fingers pointing at UEFA, but I'm sure, as usual, they won't really care. Another article that everyone's talking about today, or a lot of people talking about, on the Bleacher Report website. And the headline is, why everyone in Madrid is so confident that Real will beat mentally weak Liverpool. And what Richard Fitzpatrick has done here when he's wrote this piece is he spoke to a few journalists in Madrid just about the mood, about what they think and all this sort of stuff. And what's coming back is a little bit of air of arrogance and overconfidence, which is always great for me because I think, maybe your guard goes down a little bit. Maybe you think, you're going to have an easy ride against Liverpool and Liverpool pants on you. And, you end up with the stamp of Liverpool on your face and you're defeated in a cup final. But, some of the quotes here, just to run through quick. There's a journalist here then saying there isn't any sensation. Diego Torres, a journalist with one of the papers in Madrid, there isn't any sensation of fear in Madrid about Liverpool among the directors, among the players. They're relaxed in Real Madrid before this final. They've never been so calm and confident in the club before a final than now. This final is the easiest final they have in front of them. All of them. The club president, the captains, everyone, they're all confident apparently. There's also, someone's wrote in one of the main papers as well, Liverpool will be crushed by Real Madrid's legend. They know how to win. They played in 15 European Cup finals and they've won 12 of them. We've won a few as well, mate. What else was there? It goes on. There's also this is what's made the headline, again from a journalist out there in Madrid. Liverpool could throw something away when they've played so well. It was the feeling against Roma. It's the two sides of Liverpool which people are aware of here, that it's an incredibly exciting and attacking side, but one prone to big defensive lapses, and one that is weak mentally. It goes on to say the full-backs are very limited. None of them have signed for, I love the reason why.
Limited?
None of them have signed for Chelsea or Manchester City or Manchester United because they don't have the level to play for those teams.
All the best.
Sam with that. We finished above Chelsea in the league for the start there. The full-backs for Tottenham Hotspur are better than Liverpool's as well, he says. And yeah, I mean, it's worth a read, really. It goes on and on and on, and obviously you just end up thinking, well, is this really reflective of the mood in Madrid? Will they have the guard down? I mean, look, they're a good side. Let's not get too carried away on our side of things. They've won the last 2 European Cup finals. This could be a third in a row for Zinedine Zidane, and he'd be up there with Bob Paisley then for achieving that. And also on their way to this final, they've defeated the champions of France, Italy and Germany. So they're all right. Do you know what I mean? They're not bad. But I just think when you get too cocky, there's a danger in that, isn't there?
Yeah, and they haven't played Liverpool in the Champions League final yet. They haven't played this Liverpool side. They haven't come up against Mo Salah yet. Bobby Firmino, Sadio Mane. James Milner, sorry, should have come first. And it's interesting, like, the fact that they say about our, about our fullbacks being limited. That's like, I just wouldn't, of all the things that you could say about our fullbacks, limited isn't what I would call Andy Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold. No. Do you know what I mean? They're definitely not limited. But that's good for us. It's good that hopefully the Real Madrid players are thinking like that. I don't think Zidane will be. I think Zidane will be his homework. Zidane will be trying to ensure that his players aren't complacent. But if his players are going in there and they don't actually really know who Andy Robertson is or Trent Alexander-Arnold, and there might be a little bit of cockiness overcomes them, whether they subconsciously, and if I'm Jurgen Klopp, I'm finding all of those things and pinning them to the dressing room wall.
Absolutely.
Like they always. Do you think they actually do pin things to the wall? Like, do you think he goes to Home Bargains and buys some pins and puts them on the wall?
Phil Thompson said that. I mean, obviously Phil Thompson's a different era, but he said he did literally put stuff on the wall like that. That's not just like a phrase. He literally put stuff on the wall when teams were being too cocky and said, "Have a read of that, lads. Go out there and smash them."
Because I know in Honigstein's book, which I've now finished, everyone. Thank you. 9 months it took. Great book.
You had a kid in that time, lad.
Oh God. But in that book, he talks about. In that book, he talks about some of the tactics that Jurgen Klopp used in cup finals, and he talks about how he used things like this. He uses video montages, emotive video montages to get his players hyped up for the game. So he might be having a little look around, and if he's not pinning it to the dressing room wall, he's maybe just showing the players, look, that's what they think of you. Go out and show them. Go out and show all them what you're like, Andy Robertson and Trent Alexander, or how you're one of the most exciting right backs in European football.
Get me to Ukraine. Let's watch the Reds take them on. I can't wait for
in the European Cup final. In the European Cup final.
Right, okay, before we do the papers and have a little chat to Sam about what he thinks about Arsenal's new manager, Craig and who'd you go with, John? No, Walshy. Craig and Walshy went to the press conference and open training session at Anfield yesterday. He had a chat with Genie. Here's a little bit of that, and then we'll be back with the papers.
We're here at the open training session before the Champions League final. It's very exciting. It's in Anfield. You see behind me all the players playing. Couple of things we've noticed so far. They're really good up close. Virgil van Dijk is something else. Some of his control little skills he's doing. Curtis Jones has been playing. Just doesn't look out of place at all. I don't think I've seen him make a mistake in that first sort of. We've been here about half an hour now, so the first sort of half an hour during all the little drills, I don't think they'll be doing too much. They'll not be going through a normal routine. I'd imagine they'll be doing something back at Melwood as well. But yeah, it's nice to see them. Emery Chan's training as well, which is interesting. It'll be interesting to see how long he takes part in this training session, and who knows whether he'll be available for the Champions League final on Saturday. We're going to be at the press conference in Anfield after this, so I'm sure Jurgen Klopp will be asked about that as well. But yeah, that's us at the open training session.
Do it like we do it, but our game changed already. Plenty of times. Look more mature in different moments.
Hi, yeah, we've just been to the press conference after the open training session. Open training session didn't really tell us that much, to be honest. Just little drills, few little warm-ups, and a bit of shooting. But yeah, apart from that, I think they've kept everything behind closed doors, just in case any of Real Madrid's eyes are on it. Press conference as well, usual from Jurgen Klopp, really. Again, not giving too much away. Emery Can was in the training, as we did say. And he said he was surprised that he was there. He's surprised that he was fit. So that's a positive coming into the game this week. Probably doesn't start. You maybe look at someone like Gini Wijnaldum, who's played really well so far. But yeah, it's good to have someone like of his ilk and coming off the bench. So yeah, apart from that, he spoke of the fans and the fans' support, and how impressed he was with it. Same with Lovren as well. We asked Lovren, if he had a message to fans. He joked saying, "Don't go if you don't have tickets." But he also, again thanked the fans and said that their support's been conditional this year, and they really appreciate it as players. So then afterwards, we got a 10-minute sit down with Gini Wijnaldum, which was nice. Lovely guy. I think John sat down with him before, always smiling, sounded dead excited for the Champions League final. So yeah, if you look out for that on Top Player, it's about 10 minutes long. We talked to him about about this bond that's grown between the fans and the players, about the Champions League finals, excitement for that, and a little bit about Virgil van Dijk as well. This season's been full of highlights, but personally for you, what's been the highlight for you?
Yeah, of course my goal against Rome, because was an important one. At that moment, that goal gave a little bit of rest and more confidence, because at that moment they had to score 5. Goal even, how much did they have to score? 6? 6, yeah. So it gave us...
It's a mad match. We were losing count in the stands as well.
So it gives more confidence in the moment, and that's what we needed. So that's definitely a highlight.
Okay, we're back, and a little update on the Anfield Wrap merch. And that is that there's 20% off all the Anfield Wrap mugs right now, so get involved with that. And also, if you're looking for a sound t-shirt to wear out in Kiev, or wear at the weekend if you're watching in a pub or whatever, order it today and we'll get it sent out, and you should have it before the weekend, that right?
If you're in the UK, if you're in the UK and Ireland, I think so, but definitely the UK. Get it ordered today. We've got all the t-shirts back in. The new Salah one's gone down an absolute treat. I might actually get one and take it to Kiev. Don't, come on. So yeah, theanfieldwrap.com/shop. We'll send them out first thing tomorrow morning. Gibbo's going to be in bright and early doing that for you.
You might be wondering what this is all about. Come on, 9-9. And it's basically someone who watches regularly. Thanks, mate. He saw me say the other week that some of our cups have gone missing in this place. They seem to have all gone downstairs for some reason. Anyway, and so I was missing me big Buffalo Bills mug.
Buffaloes Billsies.
Bills Buffaloes. Anyway, yeah, I was missing that mug, and I was saying, needed something for me bruise and that, and he sent me this. Come on, 9-9. So I thought, I'd save it for when you were on, mate. And what do you reckon to that, huh?
Yeah, it's not bad. It's just you don't know what you've done, mate. Like, you've basically increased him taking the piss out of my accent, your accent, tenfold. He's already, just before this come on, you didn't see it on camera, but before, he just went off on every single thing that he likes to say in Northern Irish. So thanks for that. I'm basically gonna have to listen to this all day.
I mean, I am a big fan of Belfast and Northern Ireland. I've got to get that in there. I'm not some I just like taking the piss out of you, mate, basically. Okay, well, we're gonna be joined by Sam Walkerdine of the Anfield Wrap.
Samuel Walkerdine,
who is an Arsenal fan, as we've mentioned previously.
Hello.
Are you actually going to be in the shop there, bro?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I'd love it if he's just like, you can hear him, but you can't see it.
The reason Sam is joining us is, of course, because Arsenal have a new manager.
Wait.
There you go. And
what's his name?
There you go. I reckon it's Unai Emery. I'm just going with that. I'm crap at pronouncing things, so you can tell me different. But there's some negativity around it, Sam. I mean, you know, lots of people sort of pointing to his track record, which we've got in here in the mirror. So with Seville, he won the Europa League 3 times. With PSG, he's won the league, he's won the Cup and the League Cup. In general, he's had quite a sort of a high win rate at most of the clubs. Seville, 51%. And Paris Saint-Germain, I mean, obviously, like, you know, there's a question mark about the quality of the league, and also they've got quite a bit of money and that, but 76.3% win rate there. I think where the negativity comes from is the idea that they've sort of turned, I mean, it says it here in the mirror, they turned to him at the 11th hour, basically because there's, you know, a feeling that Mikel Arteta got cold feet. Ian Wright has branded it embarrassing. I mean, what's your initial take on it? I don't expect you to know, you know, the life and times of this fella, but, you know, are you disappointed? Are you fearful? Are you happy? Sad?
I've spent the last week, when it first kind of came out about Arteta, I wasn't very happy about it. I was excited about maybe Allegri or someone like that, and so basically
Allegri. Sorry.
I've spent the last week basically convincing myself that Arteta was the right choice because it seemed so set that it was going to be him. So I've been listening to shows when they've been talking about his, you know, his philosophies and how there's videos going around of him instructing Wenger on the pitch, or do this, and you can, almost like a mini Guardiola. So I was ready for Arteta, and then last night when I checked it on the internet and I saw that, I just didn't know what to do. Because I didn't want Arteta, and then I convinced myself, and then when it wasn't him, I was like, yeah, but I think I wanted Arteta. but I have to say, this guy looks like a cool sort of vampire baddie, and I'm up for that. I think we need a bit of I feel like we need someone to shout at them, and apparently his thing is he's a touchline, you know, he's animated touchline guy, which is nice change. I think all in all for me, it seems like a good change of pace for Arsenal, and something that pretty much a lot of Arsenal fans have been wanting. They just want to mix it up a bit.
He's won the Europa League a few times as well, hasn't he?
Does that mean, I did wonder, if he's won the Europa League 3 times in a row, does that mean he won
gets
it?
The keeper.
Is he bringing it?
In his kitchen.
Does that mean he got knocked out of the Champions League?
I don't know. If
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
You mean was he parachuted in like they do? I'm not sure. I'm not.
Anyway, I think he's seen. I read a couple of things last night about him. One of which was his Wikipedia page, because I didn't know very much about him, and a lot of them were saying he's quite tactically kind of astute. He's very fluid with the way he sort of sets up teams, and I think that's one of the criticisms levelled at Wenger recently, is that it's all a bit sort of the same basically, and that there wasn't very much movement in the way that the team approach games and stuff like that. So if he can bring a bit more sort of flexibility, I think that's exactly what we're looking for.
Okay, thanks to Sam.
No problem.
Okay, elsewhere in the papers then, there's another Liverpool story which I wanted to touch on, which is that
Got
Terry
a bit cozy there, didn't it?
Are we all right? Are we in frame, Sam? Yeah, all sound. Okay. Terry McDermott, European Cup winner, of course. He's selling his medals at Sotheby's today. Priced at £10,000 to £15,000 each. He says the main reason is to look after my kids, to help them get on the property ladder. I'm doing it for them. We've done stuff with Terry, and he's a lovely fella. And I always think it's a little bit of a shame this. He says there that it's not really for the money and that sort of stuff, but he is a name that's sort of sewn into Liverpool history and that sort of thing. And I often think it's a little bit sad about some of the older Liverpool players in that, this has to happen, because I don't know. I mean, can the club do a little bit more? Can they look after them? I don't know. I mean, the money now in the game is obviously a world away from what it was then. And maybe we were talking before about sort of closeness to community and fans and stuff like that, between players and fans and players and community. And these were definitely sort of closer to the community, I think, because they simply weren't living in as big a house and driving as good a car, and they were all right, don't get me wrong, but yeah, a little bit of a shame. But in the Mail and the Mirror, there's stuff with Terry today, not just about the medals, but in general. One little thing jumped out before when I was having a quick read of this was he talks about Graham Souness, and I loved it, like, because he says before the final, UEFA made us put plasters over the Umbro badge on our kit. As soon as we got out, he led the way by ripping them off. Fuck this, he said, they're hardly going to stop us playing, are they? And then he also talks about, he says, I love him, but I wouldn't want to get on his bad side. I remember one scrap he had with Alan Kennedy, nothing big, just bang bang. It didn't last long. I mean, Alan Kennedy was actually talking, I wonder if it's the same scrap, I was actually talking about something in the papers yesterday where he said Souness came up to him and said, like, I shouted you 3 times for a pass there. And he's like, I didn't hear you. And Souness just went bang. And he went, can you hear me now?
I love all the old stories. Like, I remember I think it was you and John sat down with Terry McDermott last year, possibly.
Really,
and
went for a pint with him.
Yeah, we did. And I think it was one of the most intriguing and interesting sit-downs you've had in terms of the stories he had. It just sounds absolutely wild back then. And obviously he can tell those stories now, and it'd be interesting to see sort of in 20 years' time if the current footballers have those kind of stories, because I just don't believe they're ever going to be as mad as that, just about hitting each other. And but yeah, what a guy. It's just so sad that you've mentioned the gap in the wages between his time and now, but it feels like maybe the club could do something whereby maybe they buy the medals and keep them in the museum, so that at least when he does want to go and see them, he can go and see them. Fans can go and see them. It feels like an easy PR win, and it feels like just something that would work best, really, instead of some random buying them and we never see them again. That'd be sad. And the fact that he's doing it for his family as well, that just goes to show that he doesn't. He's doing a nice thing. It's not just for him. He has to do this, and B, it's the fact that he didn't get paid. They didn't get paid anywhere near as what they did. Imagine footballers now having to do that in 30 years. Not a chance. Well,
he did also recently do a book, which is worth a read, and also he does work on match days at Anfield, in the lounges and stuff, just sort of meeting people, greeting people, getting photos, telling stories, and he's great company, and he's a proper Red. He's a good laugh. He's a proper football man. He says here that his 3 European Cup winners' medals will be on auction at Sotheby's in London. He says, I'm okay with it because I have the memories, no one can take them away. It's to look after my kids, help them on the property ladder. I'm doing it for them. It's nice to have the medals, but they're at risk of theft, or you keep them in a vault. What's the point in that? I'm proud of what I've won, but I'll be more proud if my children are all happy. If you can help them along the way, I'll be happy. This felt like the right time. So there you go. Terry, as I say, top fella. On the Anfield Wrap today, we went over to Tranmere Rovers the other day. Again, we did a special with them not so long back, but this is post-promotion. They are back up in the Football League, rightfully so. So we went over and spoke to the chairman, Mark Palios. Nice fella. Spoke to him about Tranmere, spoke to him about the links with Liverpool, spoke to him about his own football career and the fact that he ended up as the boss man at the FA. Very interesting man who's led a very interesting life. So there's a special with him out today. Also, Neil caught up with Clive Tilsley and had a chat with him about what it's like to sort of commentate on a European Cup final and come out with famous phrases that lots and lots of people remember.
Have you listened to that?
No.
I listened to it this morning. It's brilliant. First of all, Neil sounds as if he had a lovely time with him, sat in his garden having a drink with him, and B, he's got a voice that you just can't tire of listening to. And you talk about the phrases like that 2005 run in particular, but even the 2007, the Liverpool's love affair with the European Cup continues. All of those phrases are some of the first things I think of when I think of him. So he talks about Istanbul and everything on there as well. It's brilliant listen.
So that's out there as well today, and then there's also a free show going out today, which is the review. This is the show where we get into the tactics and setups, and we have a professional coach in here having a chat with us about all that. That will be out today as a free show, and be looking at how Madrid might set up at the weekend, what we can take from past matches and that sort of thing. So a lot of people have been asking about that type of thing, so that's done. We do listen to what you say, we do take it on board, so there will be a podcast out there about that today. So get on that, as they say, and share it with your mates and everything else. And also, good a time as any to subscribe to the Anfield Wrap and get all these shows as a regular thing. theanfieldwrap.com/subscribe. Okay, that's been Talk on Reds. See you tomorrow.